This is a quick demonstration of the two different photo modes available on a typical iPhone. There is your photo option, which is your standard to take a photo. It allows you to zoom pretty easily, so I'm going to take a snapshot there. Now I'm going to switch over to portrait mode, which gives you some other options. You see natural light. First you see it move farther away, so you can't be too close. If you're trying to photograph something small, you have to back up. And you have the natural light and some other options down there that are fun to play with. But this throws the background and the foreground more out of focus. So some may like this effect more. Play around with it on your different photos to see what you like best. So let's throw these into Snapseed and take a look and see what we think. Snapseed, you can look at our other app to see my overview of Snapseed where I walk through these different tools. I'm just going to increase the brightness a little bit, increase the saturation, ambiance. I'm going to bring down those highlights in the background, bring up the shadows a tiny bit, not too much, and create a little bit of warmth, not too much. I find that you can overdo things in Snapseed really quickly. Add back a little more contrast. I'm going to go in and the brightness of the rock is bothering me a little bit, so I'm going to tone that down just a little bit using the selective tool. And then I'm going to go hit that background. It's a little hot, a little bright, tone down the background, brighten up the actual crystals. I put a vignette on there. You can see you can move the vignette around. You can zoom in and out on the vignette to make it smaller or larger. I like to use vignette on a lot of my photos just to bring more attention. I should have cropped this before I did the vignette, so you always want to crop to what you think your final crop's going to be and then apply the vignette. I just find that to be helpful. So I darkened it around the edges, and now I'm brightening it a little bit in the middle, or in the middle. And then let's go through and crop this a little bit. Okay, so we got that cropped. Now we're going to save it. And I typically save a copy just so I have the original and I can go back to it if I want it. All right, let's pull up the one that I use the portrait mode for, where the background's a little more out of focus, but I had to get a little further away from the subject. We're going to go through the same process, doing the edits. Here I am going to crop it first. So I have my crop in mind before I mess around with any of the edits. Go through the same process of tuning the image with brightness and shadows, highlights, saturation, etc. Go through that selective process, darken that rock a little bit, hit the plus sign so I can do another selective edit on that bright background back there, just tone that down a little bit, apply my vignette, crop it in just a little bit more. I'm going to apply a frame. That's always my last step. I forgot to do that on another one. I'll go back and add that frame, and there you go. Save a copy. And then let's take a look at these two back to back, and let's see what we think. Okay, here is the first one using photo mode. See the background, the tree, a little bit more in focus than the other one. And let's take a look at the second one, but I want you to keep your eyes on that tree to the right and the rock directly at the bottom of the frame and the background in general. See how everything's more out of focus? You may love it or hate it or whatever, but it can be really effective in some situations. So that tree is much less in focus. The front of the rock starts to be out of focus and then comes into focus as you get closer to the subject. And the tree's way off in the background on the left, and the field in the back is way out of focus. So really brings your attention to your subject that you're trying to photograph. Here's a sample that I did at the recent Tulip Festival using the technique that I just described. I put it in portrait mode on my phone. I focused on that flower. That let the rest of the background go out of focus. And then I put it into Snapseed and did those different edits to it, increase the saturation, decrease the highlights, increase the shadows a little bit, and then put a vignette. And I moved the vignette directly over that flower so that the flower did not get darker, it stayed the same tonal value, and then the vignette let everything else get just a little bit darker to draw the viewer's attention directly to that flower. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and let us know if you have any questions in the comments. Be glad to help you any way we can.